Hello everyone, Scotty from Scotty Tells a Story, back from the holiday break. I hope you all had some restful holidays, although, folklorically speaking, we're not quite out of the woods yet. In folklore and folk history, the holidays tend to run from December 5th, that's your Krampus, to January 6th, which is when today's story takes place in folk history and folklore. And that is the story of Frau Perchta. Now, she's got a great alias, which we're going to get to, and I love an AKA. Today's story comes from not Lore of the Land. Oh my goodness, new year, new me. This is the Scary Book of Christmas Lore by Tim Rayborn. I don't usually go in for these modern thin books. They don't have a reference section on the back, and they tend to be kind of topical and but this one was really well written and really good, and had some great turn of phrases in it, and was really densely packed with the information. So I'm going to tell you a story from it. To tell today's story, we have to go to Austria, Bavaria, that part of Europe. And we got two different parts of history to look at. So before about the 11th, 12th century, which is a very relevant time in folklore and folk history, especially in Europe, because the Dark Ages, we have Frau Perchta, who is a good guy. She's a protective spirit or witch of the woods. She keeps people safe in the darkest times of the year, which were riddled with disease and banditry, and we can't afford candles, and it's genuinely dangerous and scary. To, after that point, just being a generic baddie, you know, just a different version of Krampus, kind of, except more slasher. We're going to get to that. So what happened? What happened was good intentions through a particular lens. So coming out of the Dark Ages, a lot of reading and writing was lost to most people, so people who could read and write tended to be Christian monks, and they were just codifying everything. Oral traditions, folk history, folklore, they all considered it history. But they were writing from the perspective of monotheism and a very conservative. So when you have competing gods, maybe we write that down as they weren't quite gods. When you have competing goddesses who had the gall to be women, they tend to get turned into bad guys. We don't love that. It is just the history, unfortunately. So Frau Perchta went from being basically a different version of the Norse goddess Frigg into, look, by January 6th, you needed to have all of your sweeping up done, and you had to leave out a bowl of porridge, because if you didn't, remember, she had that alias, well, Frau Perchta, aka the belly slitter, will pull out your organs and replace everything in your abdomen with straw and rocks. Tick-tock, get to that sweeping. Quick.